The church bells were supposed to ring at exactly 4 p.m. They did ring, but the bride never walked in. 18-year-old Leela Rowan, dressed in a white gown that looked too heavy for her trembling shoulders, stood hidden behind the old oak trees outside St. Augustine Chapel. Her breath shook, her heart hammered, the lace on her sleeves fluttered like frightened wings. She wasn't running from marriage. She was running from what the marriage meant. Inside the chapel waited Elias Ward, a billionaire CEO, 38, powerful enough to bend cities and cold enough to freeze souls. The marriage wasn't for love. It was to erase a deal her father broke, a debt her family couldn't repay. Leela was supposed to sign her freedom away. Instead, she ran. She lifted the hem of her gown and sprinted down the gravel path, barefoot, her veil tearing behind her. She didn't know where she was going, only that she couldn't stay. Her breath hitched when she reached the empty parking lot behind the church. Only one car was there, a black Rolls-Royce, Elias' car. Leela ducked behind a stack of crates beside the maintenance shed, gown dragging in dust and pine needles. She pressed a hand over her mouth to quiet her breath. Then she heard it. Footsteps slow, calm, too calm, like a predator who already knew where the prey was hiding. Elias Ward stepped into view, black suit, silver tie, controlled fury in his eyes. He didn't panic, didn't shout. He simply scanned the area, his jaw tightening the moment he noticed her torn veil on the gravel. "Leela," he said, voice deep, steady, too steady. "As if I don't know how far you can run." Her heartbeat collapsed into silence. He wasn't yelling. He wasn't angry. He sounded disappointed, like he expected better from her. He took a few steps closer to the crates, then stopped. A faint smile tugged the corner of his mouth. "I'm giving you 10 seconds, he said softly. "A head start. After that, I'm coming." Leela's lungs froze. Her mind screamed, but her feet, they were already moving. She ran, and behind her she heard Elias count. 10, 9, 8. The chase had begun. Leela ran like the earth beneath her feet was collapsing. The chapel faded behind her, swallowed by trees and the golden haze of late afternoon. The wedding gown tangled around her legs, the lace ripping on every sharp branch she brushed past. Her lungs burned, but fear kept pushing her forward. She didn't dare look back, not even when she heard 3, 2. She stumbled out onto the narrow service road behind the chapel. It led nowhere, just acres of woodland and the long stretch of highway beyond. No houses, no people, no safety. But anything was better than walking back into that chapel. Anything was better than becoming a billionaire's contract bride. Her legs threatened to give out, but adrenaline carried her. She darted down the road, one hand clutching her gown, the other swiping tears from her eyes. Finally, she reached the end of the road, only to stop dead. A black SUV had pulled in, windows tinted, engine humming like a heartbeat. No license plate. Her blood went cold. Elias men. She backed up slowly, breath shaky. The back door opened and a tall man in a charcoal suit stepped out. His voice was calm, too calm. "Miss Rowan, please, don't make this difficult." She didn't answer. She turned and ran straight into another man approaching from the side. She gasped, stumbling backward. They were surrounding her. Her father must have told Elias she would run. That must be why he sent security to block every exit. Her throat tightened. She was cornered. But then, the woods rustled behind her. Another car engine growled. Slow, controlled, expensive. Elias Ward stepped out of his Rolls-Royce. Jacket off, vest tightened. His sleeves rolled to his elbows like he was ready for war. He didn't look angry. He didn't look shocked. He looked amused. "You lasted longer than I expected," Elias said, approaching her with a quiet confidence that made the air feel thicker. His men stepped aside like he was gravity itself. Leela backed away until her spine hit a tree trunk. Her gown snagged on bark. Her breathing hitched. "Don't," she whispered. "Don't touch me." Elias stopped a few feet away. He studied her like she was a puzzle only he could solve. "I won't touch you," he said softly. "Not until you tell me why you ran." She blinked. "You know why?" "No, I know what your father told you." His voice lowered. "But I want to hear what you believe." Leela swallowed hard. "This isn't a marriage, it's punishment." A shadow flickered behind his eyes. "Is that what you think?" He stepped closer, slow, deliberate. "That I want a wife who hates me." Leela's lip trembled, but she didn't look away. "Then why force me?" Elias inhaled sharply, jaw flexing. For the first time, he broke eye contact. Something cracked in his expression, something she didn't expect. Pain, real pain. But just as quickly, he hit it again. "This marriage solves something far bigger than your father's debt," he said, "and you don't understand it yet." "Then explain it," she whispered desperately. "Tell me why my life has to be the price." The wind rustled between them. For a moment, she almost thought he would tell her the truth. But instead, he shook his head. "Not here." And suddenly, he stepped aside, clearing her path. Leela stared at him, confused. "Go," Elias said quietly. His voice was low, almost tired. "If you want to keep running, run. I won't stop you." She blinked, stunned. His men exchanged startled glances. He wasn't lying. For the first time since the nightmare began, she was free. She could run. She could disappear. She could start a new life. But her heart's stupid, trembling thing hesitated. "Why?" she whispered. "Why let me go now?" Elias exhaled slowly, eyes softening just slightly. "Because I'm not the monster you were told I am." Leela's breath caught. He turned away, as if giving her privacy to escape, as if giving her a choice. Not an order, a choice. Her chest tightened with confusion, fear, and something else. Something she didn't want to admit. She took a step back, then another. Elias didn't look at her. He didn't chase. He didn't count. He simply whispered, almost to himself, "You'll come back when you know the truth." Leela's footsteps echoed down the road as she ran, this time not out of fear, but out of uncertainty, because for the first time, she wasn't sure if she was running from him or running from the truth he held about her family. Leela didn't stop running until her gown felt like sandpaper against her skin and her breath tasted like metal. By the time she reached the edge of the highway, the sun was dipping low, turning the sky orange. Cars whizzed by. Most didn't even slow down. Who would stop for a barefoot girl in a torn wedding dress? A girl running from a billionaire. A girl running from her fate. Finally, a rusted pickup truck slowed. The driver, a woman in her 40s with tired eyes, leaned out. "You okay, sweetheart? You look like you escaped a horror movie." Leela forced a trembling smile. "Just need a ride." "Climb in." Leela hesitated. Trust didn't come easily anymore. But what choice did she have? She climbed in, hugging her knees as the truck rumbled forward. The woman glanced at her again. "You running from the groom?" Leela looked out the window. "Something like that." "Well," the woman snorted, "good for you. Men with money think they can own everything." Leela's heart twisted. If only she knew. It wasn't money that scared Leela. It was the secrets attached to it. The motel. The woman dropped Leela at a small roadside motel. The neon sign flickered like it was running out of electricity or hope. Leela booked a room, using the emergency cash she had hidden in her bouquet. Room 11, door barely hanging on its hinges. Inside was a thin mattress, a broken lamp, and a window that didn't fully close. But it was freedom. For the first time today, she exhaled. She sat on the bed, staring at her trembling hands. Her thoughts churned. Why did Elias let her go? Why did he look hurt? Why did he say she didn't know the whole truth? Her father's desperate voice replayed in her head. "Just marry him, Leela. It's the only way to keep us safe." Safe from what? Nothing made sense anymore. She pulled out the small silver locket she always wore, a gift from her mother before she passed away. She opened it. Inside was a picture of her as a baby, and beside it, a corporate logo, hexagon-shaped, silver. She froze. That logo. She had seen it before, on Elias Ward's building. Why was her mother carrying that? Her heart slammed inside her chest. Her family's connection to Elias. It didn't start with her father. It started long before. The stranger. A knock shattered the silence. She jumped to her feet, backing against the wall. Her breath turned to ice. Not Elias. Not this fast. She approached the door slowly and peered through the gap. A man she'd never seen before stood outside. Tall, dark jacket, no expression. Not one of Elias' men, but not friendly. "Miss Rowan," he said without emotion. "You need to come with me." Her stomach dropped. "What do you want?" she whispered through the crack. "That depends," he said calmly. "Do you want the truth or safety?" She froze. Her blood went cold. Her voice trembled. "Who sent you?" The man's jaw tightened slightly. "Someone who wants you alive." Before she could react, the man glanced over his shoulder. Headlights flashed across the window. A sleek black car pulled into the lot. Her heart nearly stopped. Rolls-Royce. "Elias." The stranger stepped back. "You have 10 seconds to decide." Her pulse exploded. Not again. Not another countdown. The stranger looked at her through the crack, eyes sharp, almost urgent. Leela, choose now. Outside, the Rolls-Royce door opened. Elias stepped out, not angry, not rushed, determined, focused, possessive but not dangerous. The stranger raised his hand slightly. I'm not here to hurt you, but if he reaches you first, you'll never learn the real reason you're both trapped in this. Both, her breath stuttered. Both, her and Elias. Before she could speak, she heard Elias' voice, firm and steady. Leela opened the door. She looked back and forth. The stranger, Elias, stranger, Elias. Her lungs squeezed so tight she could barely breathe. The stranger whispered, one last thing before the doorknob rattled. Your mother didn't die the way they told you. Leela's entire body went numb. And then, the door handle turned. The doorknob twisted slowly. Leela's breath died in her chest. For a heartbeat, the whole world froze. The peeling wallpaper, the flickering motel light, the stranger's tense posture behind her. Everything stood still. The door creaked open, and Elias Ward filled the doorway. Not furious, not panicked, just quiet. Too quiet. His eyes swept over her wedding gown, torn, dirty, clinging to her like a ghost of the life she just escaped. Then his gaze lifted to her face, to her shaking hands, to the fear she couldn't hide. Something flickered across his expression. Not anger, guilt, but the stranger stepped between them instantly. Stay back, he warned, Elias' voice hard. Elias didn't flinch, didn't even blink. His voice was low, calm, the kind of calm that made danger feel like a whisper behind every word. You're trespassing, Elias said, and you're touching what doesn't belong to you. Leela's heart lurched, not because of the possessive tone, but because the stranger laughed. I'm not touching her, the man said coldly. I'm saving her, something you failed to do for 18 years. Elias' jaw tightened. Leela's pulse stumbled. 18 years, she whispered. What are you talking about? The stranger turned to her, and for the first time, his expression wasn't blank. It was almost sad. Leela, you've been lied to your entire life, he said softly. Your mother didn't die in an accident. She was murdered, and Elias knows exactly why. Silence detonated in the room. Leela's knees weakened. Her throat tightened. Her chest burned. She looked at Elias, desperate for him to deny it, to shake his head, to tell her it wasn't true. But his eyes looked like someone holding a truth too heavy to speak. Is that true? She whispered. Elias' breath hitched, almost invisible, but she saw it. Leela, he said quietly, not here, not with him. That's not an answer, the stranger snapped. Elias stepped forward, tone darkening. One more word, and you won't leave this parking lot standing. The stranger didn't back down. Leela couldn't breathe. She pressed her palm against her locket, the one with the logo matching Elias Corporation, the one her mother carried. Both of you stop, she whispered, voice trembling. I deserve to know the truth. About my mother, about this marriage, about everything. Neither man moved, neither spoke. So Leela turned to Elias, tears burning her eyes. Did my mother work for your company? Elias closed his eyes for a second, a fraction of a second, as if the question stabbed him. Yes, he said. The room tilted. And did her death have anything to do with you? Elias opened his eyes, and this time he wasn't a billionaire CEO. He was a man drowning in something deep, old and painful. No, he said softly, but it has everything to do with why I married you. Her breath shattered. The stranger stepped forward sharply. Don't listen to him, he's protecting himself. Elias' voice dropped to a lethal whisper. Say her mother's name, if you know so much. The stranger hesitated. Just 1 second, barely visible, but Leela saw it. He didn't know. Elias did. Elias finally spoke. Her name was Evelyn Rowan, and she died because she protected something meant for Leela. Leela staggered back. Protected something. For her. The stranger clenched his teeth. Enough, she comes with me. No, Elias said firmly. She stays where she belongs. The stranger reached for her arm, and Elias moved faster than a man should. A hand slammed into the stranger's chest, pinning him to the wall with a force that rattled the thin motel plaster. Leela gasped. The stranger groaned but didn't fight. Elias leaned in close, voice low, dangerous. The kind of danger born from protecting, not harming. You don't get to decide her future, he said. She's mine to protect. Those words hit something deep inside Leela. Fear, yes, but also something strange, confusing, unwanted. Safety. Elias released the stranger, who staggered but stayed upright, rubbing his chest. "This isn't over," the stranger hissed. "It never is," Elias replied. Then he turned to Leela. His voice softened, a sound she wasn't prepared for. "Come with me," he said. "Please." Her heart quivered at the word he rarely used. "Please." The stranger pointed at her desperately. "Leela, if you go with him, you'll never hear the truth." Elias extended his hand toward her, not grabbing, not forcing, just offering. "Leela, I'll tell you everything, but not here, not with him listening." Her pulse pounded in her ears. Two men, two truths, two paths, one connected to her past, one connected to her future. Leela stared at Elias' hand. Her fingers shook. Her decision would change everything. Leela's fingers hovered above Elias' outstretched hand. She felt the weight of two destinies pressing against her ribs. Behind her, the stranger whispered urgently, "Leela, your mother died for you. He won't tell you why." Elias' jaw tightened, not in anger, but in something that looked dangerously close to pain. "Leela," he said softly, "you're not safe here, come with me." Her hand trembled, her breath shook, her chest rose and fell like she was standing on the edge of a cliff. Then she made her choice. She placed her hand in Elias, a single action, yet it felt like the world shifted. The stranger hissed, "You're making a mistake." Elias didn't look back at him. He simply closed his hand around hers, warm, steady, unshakable, and guided her out of the motel room. The drive, the calm before the truth. They entered the Rolls-Royce. The engine hummed softly, too soft for the chaos inside her mind. For a long moment, neither spoke. The city lights blurred past the windows, painting streaks across her gown like memories dragging through her skin. Leela finally whispered, "Why did you come after me?" Elias kept his eyes on the road, voice controlled, but not cold. "I promised someone I'd keep you safe." "Who?" she asked. He hesitated, just enough to terrify her. "Your mother." Her heart jolted. "That's not possible. She died when I was 4. His grip on the steering wheel tightened. "I know," he said quietly. "I was there." Leela's entire body froze. "What?" Elias exhaled slowly, like he was releasing a memory he'd kept locked away for years. "Your mother worked for my company. Not as a secretary, not as an assistant. She was part of a classified project. Something dangerous. Something people wanted to shut down." "What project?" she whispered. He didn't answer. "Not yet." He pulled the car into a secluded overlook facing the city, the kind of place where people confess truths in movies. But his expression was nothing like a movie. It was real, raw, haunted, the secret of Evlyn Rowan. Elias turned off the engine. The night wrapped around them, quiet, heavy, waiting. He looked at her with eyes that weren't sharp CEO eyes anymore. They were human, wounded. "Leela, your mother Evelyn was brilliant. She discovered something, a flaw in my company's operations. Something that could destroy hundreds of people if left unchecked." "What flaw?" Leela whispered. He swallowed hard. "Not a flaw in the company." A pause. "A flaw in me." Leela's breath snagged in her throat. Her voice cracked. "You're saying my mother died because of you?" "No," Elias said immediately, sharp, urgent. "She died protecting you from those who wanted to use you, because of what she discovered." Leela's pulse raced. "What does that even mean?" Elias looked away, the city lights reflecting in his eyes like broken glass. "There was a file," he finally said. "A file Evelyn created, encrypted, untraceable. She hid it before she was killed." Her stomach twisted. "Killed because of a file? Because of what the file contains?" His voice dropped to a whisper. "Leela, that file is tied to your birth." Her fingers went cold. "My birth?" "Yes." His eyes softened. "Evelyn wasn't just protecting a document. She was protecting a truth about you. Something the men who killed her believed would give them power." Leela felt the world tilt under her feet. "What truth?" she asked, breath trembling. Elias' throat tightened. He didn't want to say it. She could see that. "Tell me," she whispered. He closed his eyes. When he spoke, his voice was full of something she'd never heard from him. "Fear." "Leela, you weren't supposed to be born." She blinked, stunned, confused. What does that mean?" Elias opened his eyes, and they were full of storm. "It means your mother broke the law to bring you into this world. It means someone powerful wants you erased. And it means," his voice cracked, "that I'm the only one left who can protect you." Leela felt her heartbeat slam against her ribs. "My father told me nothing," she whispered. "Because he didn't know," Elias replied quietly. "Only your mother, and I knew the truth." Her breath shook. What truth? Elias looked at her with a mixture of regret and something she didn't dare name. Layla, you are the missing piece of a billion-dollar conspiracy, and your mother died keeping you hidden. She stared at him, the world blurring. So you married me to protect me. Elias held her gaze, and for the first time, she saw the truth behind his cold exterior. Yes, he said softly, but not only for that. Her heart skipped painfully. Then why? Elias' voice dropped to a whisper, a confession he'd been swallowing for years. Because your mother asked me to. Leela's breath broke. What? She saved my life once, he said, eyes full of ghosts. And with her final breath, she asked me to save yours. Silence thickened the air. Pain, shock, truth, destiny. Leela couldn't speak, because if she did, she'd break. And then, before she could ask more, Elias said something that turned her soul to ice. And the man at the motel, he isn't trying to save you, Leela. He's trying to finish what they started. Silence clung to the car like smoke. Leela stared at Elias, her pulse thundering so loud she could barely hear her own breath. The man in the motel, she whispered. Who is he? Elias didn't answer immediately. He leaned back against the leather seat, exhaling a slow, heavy breath, the kind people release when they're about to drag a buried truth into the light. His name, Elias finally said, is Marcus Hale. Leela had never heard it before. But something in the way Elias said it, slow, controlled, laced with old anger, made the name feel dangerous. Who is he? She pressed again. Elias turned his face toward her, and in the dim glow of the dashboard, his expression changed. Harder, colder, haunted. He used to work for me, Elias said. He was part of the same classified project your mother was on. Her stomach twisted. The project about my birth. But Elias shook his head. No, the project wasn't about your birth. It was about something that led to your birth. Something your mother discovered. Something Marcus wanted. Leela felt her chest tighten. What did he want? Elias' jaw clenched. You. The world tilted sideways. And me, why? Elias looked out at the city below, lights shimmering like a broken constellation. When you were born, he said quietly, your mother discovered something inside your DNA, a mutation, a pattern, something artificial placed there by the organization Marcus worked for. Leela's breath froze. No, that's impossible. You were never meant to be a normal child, Elias continued, voice low and steady. Your mother realized you were part of a program that didn't legally exist. Something designed, something dangerous. What? I'm not some experiment, she whispered, eyes burning. You're not, Elias said quickly, fiercely. You're human, you're real. You are not what they tried to make you. His voice softened. But the blueprint in your DNA, the one your mother found, could give someone complete control over the project's next phase. And Marcus wants that control. Leela felt tears sting her eyes. So he wants to use me for power. Elias nodded slowly. And your mother died because she refused to hand you over. The words hit her like a blade. Her throat tightened. Her lungs ached. Her vision blurred. My mother died protecting me from him. Yes, Elias whispered. And Marcus has been searching for you ever since. Leela pressed a trembling hand to her chest. Her heartbeat felt wrong, painful, wild, terrified. All these years, she whispered, I thought I had no value. And now you're saying I'm worth killing for. Elias turned toward her, eyes fierce and full of emotion she couldn't name. No, Leela, I'm saying you're worth dying for. Her breath hitched. She looked away, tears slipping down her cheeks. Why didn't you tell me? She whispered. Why hide everything? Elias looked down at his hands. Because your mother asked me to keep you innocent, to let you live a normal life for as long as you could. But marrying me, she whispered, that wasn't normal. Elias closed his eyes for a moment, not from anger, but regret. The marriage wasn't my choice, he said quietly. It was the board's decision once they discovered Marcus was close to locating you again. The safest place for you was beside me. Leela felt her jaw tremble. And you agreed. Elias opened his eyes, and she saw the truth. He didn't just agree. He accepted the burden, long before anyone asked him to. I made a promise to Evelyn, he said softly. I promised her I'd protect you, even if you hated me for it. Leela shook her head, overwhelmed. And Marcus, she whispered, what does he want now? Elias looked out the window. He wants to finish what the organization started. He wants to claim you as theirs, or make sure no one else can. A chill sliced down her spine. Meaning? Elias turned back to her, expression dead serious. Meaning if he can't control you, he'll kill you. Leela felt her breath collapse. A tear fell. Another. Her voice came out a fragile whisper. Am I in danger now? Elias didn't lie. Yes. Her fingers curled into fists. Her lips trembled. And you, she whispered softly. Why put yourself between me and someone like him? Elias held her gaze, not as a CEO, not as a protector, but as a man carrying a promise older than she remembered. Because I failed your mother once, he said, and I will not fail you. Leela's chest tightened painfully. She'd spent years believing no one wanted her. No one cared. She was just a burden. Now she was hearing. Someone once died for her. Someone now was willing to die for her. Elias reached forward slowly, as if afraid to scare her. He brushed a tear from her cheek. Leela, you are not a mistake. You were fought for. You were chosen. Her breath hitched sharp and painful. But if Marcus is after me, she whispered, he'll come again. Elias nodded. He will, and you'll protect me. He leaned closer, so close she could feel his breath. I'll protect you with everything I am. But before Leela could say anything, her phone buzzed. She looked down. A text from an unknown number. He's lying to you. Meet me alone, or you'll never learn what your mother really did. Her heart stopped. Below the message was a photograph of her mother, a photo she had never seen before. And in the background of the photo, Marcus, standing beside Evelyn, smiling, alive. Leela stared at the phone, frozen. Her mother alive. Marcus smiling beside her. Her hands shook so violently that the phone almost slipped from her grasp. Elias reached for it. Leela, don't. But she held it away, her pulse hammering. How is this possible? She whispered. Elias' jaw tightened. He didn't answer immediately. Because someone has been lying to you your entire life, he said finally, voice low, edged with barely controlled anger. Who? Marcus. The name hit harder than a punch. Leela's mind raced. The stranger at the motel, the photo, the sudden texts, every warning, every chase, every second of fear she'd felt since her wedding day, it was all tied to him. Elias leaned closer, eyes dark. He wants you to doubt me, to think I'm hiding the truth, to make you vulnerable. That photo, it's a lie. Leela's breath caught. A lie? Yes, Elias said, voice sharp, urgent. Your mother never willingly worked with Marcus. She was protecting you. That photo, it's been manipulated. He wants you to follow him, alone, so he can finish what your mother started. Her stomach sank. You mean he wants me dead? Elias' gaze hardened. His grip tightened around the wheel. If he can't have control over you, yes, that's exactly what he wants. Leela's tears burned. Fear, confusion, heartbreak, all blended into one suffocating weight. She looked at him, voice trembling. But why are you telling me this now? Why not sooner? Because, Elias said, and his tone broke just slightly, I needed to make sure you trust me, that you'd choose me when it mattered. And Marcus is patient, but not for long. Her pulse raced. And if I go to him? Elias' face darkened. His usual control cracked just a hair. You'll never come back, he growled. Leela felt the first flicker of anger. Not at him, at everything. At the lies, at the danger, at the world that had trapped her in a nightmare she couldn't even name. I'm not a child, she said, voice shaking but firm. I can decide what to do. Elia's eyes softened. Pain, worry, and something deeper, something unspoken shimmered there. You can decide, he whispered, but you must decide wisely, because Marcus doesn't forgive mistakes. He kills them. Leela's phone buzzed again. Another message. Meet me where it all began. Alone, or lose everything forever. Her chest constricted. Elias slammed the brakes hard. The car skidded slightly on the asphalt, lights of the city streaking past. He leaned over, close enough that his presence pressed against her like a shield. You will not go there alone. She shook her head, tears streaming. I have to know. I need to know the truth about my mother. Elia's jaw clenched. He stared straight ahead, hands gripping the wheel. Then we go together, he said, voice low, almost feral. And if he tries anything, I swear I will destroy him. Leela felt a shiver run down her spine. Not fear of Elias, but fear of Marcus. Elias exhaled sharply, rage simmering beneath his calm exterior. You almost lost me today, he whispered, voice barely audible. And if I lose you, I will never forgive myself. The words hit her harder than the revelation of her mother, harder than the threat of Marcus. She realized with a jolt that her heart had changed. Her fear mingled with something else, something dangerous, something she didn't fully understand yet. Love, possessive, protective, terrifying, real. She looked at him, her voice trembling. Then let's end this, together. Ilya's eyes narrowed, a storm of fury, devotion, and obsession flashing there. Together, he repeated. And with that, the Rolls-Royce roared back onto the highway, night swallowing the city behind them, as the game of life and death with Marcus Hale, her mother's shadow, the lie, the truth, was about to reach its climax. The Rolls-Royce purred to a stop at the edge of the abandoned docks. The night was thick, fog curling around the rusting containers like smoke. Leela's heart thumped wildly. Every instinct screamed to run, but she knew she couldn't. Not this time, not with Ilya's beside her. From the shadows, a figure emerged. Tall, broad, confident Marcus Hale. His smile was slow, deliberate, chilling. Well, he said, voice smooth, venomous. The little runaway finally shows herself. Leela instinctively stepped back. Ilya's hand brushed hers, reassuring, protective. Stay behind me, he said quietly, eyes fixed on Marcus. Marcus tilted his head, examining them both like predators do before the hunt. You've grown, he said to Leela. Strong, dangerous, perfect. Leela felt bile rise. Why are you doing this? What do you want from me? Marcus's grin widened. Control, power, and the truth your mother tried to hide. Ilya stepped forward, protective barrier between Leela and Marcus. His jaw flexed. Leave her out of this, Marcus. Whatever game you're playing, it ends tonight. Marcus laughed low, chilling. Game? Oh, Ilya's, you misunderstand. This isn't a game. This is legacy. He gestured toward Leela. Your mother didn't just discover my organization's secrets. She discovered yours, hers, and she hid them inside you. That's why you were always so valuable. Leela's pulse raced. Inside me, what do you mean? Marcus smirked. You're more than just a girl, Leela. Your DNA, your existence. It's the key to finishing what my employers started. And your mother, she stole it from us, hid it, protected you, and then died for it. Leela's stomach lurched. The pieces were forming, terrifying, impossible pieces. Ilya's clenched his fists, voice cold. And that's why I married her, to keep her safe, to protect the last thing Evelyn Rowan loved most, her daughter. Marcus laughed again, a sound that made Leela shiver. Cute, the billionaire playing hero, but you see, you were supposed to die tonight, and no one stops me. He raised his hand, and from the fog, armed men emerged, surrounding them. Leela's breath hitched. She squeezed Ilya's hand. What do we do? Ilya's eyes burned. We do what we always do. We survive. He moved first, swift and precise, drawing Marcus's attention. Leela instinctively followed, adrenaline surging. The first shot rang out, echoing across the docks. Chaos erupted, but in the middle of it, Marcus stepped forward, eyes locked on Leela. You think he saved you, little girl, he hissed. But the truth is, you were never meant to be saved. Leela's hands shook. She turned to Ilya's. Tell me what to do. Ilya's gritted his teeth, jaw tight. Trust me, move. Together they darted through crates, dodging bullets and Marcus's men. Every step was a risk, every breath a gamble. Then Marcus's voice cut through the night like ice. You can't hide from your destiny, Leela. She left it in you, and now it belongs to me. Leela froze. Her mother's last words, whispered into the darkness of her childhood memories, rang clear. Run, survive, choose wisely. And she realized the only way to honor her mother, the only way to survive Marcus, was not just to run. It was to fight. Leela's legs pumped hard, weaving through stacks of rusted containers. Bullets whizzed past, pinging off metal. Her chest burned, adrenaline and fear clawing at her lungs. Ilya's was beside her, precise, controlled, lethal. His every move a shield. But Leela realized something terrifying. If she didn't fight for herself, she wouldn't survive. She ducked behind a container, heart hammering. Marcus's men advanced, eyes cold, trained, unstoppable. Her hands shook, but then she remembered her mother's words. You are stronger than you know. Use it. Her fingers found the emergency knife she had hidden in her boot. A flicker of determination surged through her chest. Ilya's, she whispered. I can help, I have to. He glanced at her, eyes wide for a split second, part fear, part awe. Be careful, he warned, his voice low, tense. No heroics. Leela nodded, voice firm despite the chaos. No, we end this together. She leapt from cover, swift, precise, striking the nearest man with a sharp jab, taking him by surprise. He went down, groaning. Another came at her. She ducked and swung the knife, cutting his arm. Pain and fear mingled, but she kept moving. Across the dock, Elia's was a storm. Each move calculated, brutal, disarming, incapacitating, protecting. He was everywhere at once, and yet he watched Leela, giving her space to fight. Marcus's voice cut through the night again, mocking. Impressive, but do you really think she's yours, Elias? That she belongs to anyone? Leela froze. Something in his words sparked a dangerous fire inside her. She turned, knife ready, gaze locking with Marcus. I belong to myself, she spat. Shock crossed Marcus's face just for a moment. Enough. Leela ran toward him, dagger raised. Elias intercepted a man lunging at her from the side, tossing him aside. The chaos intensified. Sparks flew from a stray bullet hitting metal. Crates toppled. Marcus sneered. You could never understand what's inside you, little girl. It's why your mother feared me, and why I will finish this. Leela's hand shook, but she steadied herself. Something clicked. The DNA mutation her mother had feared, the power Marcus craved. It wasn't just danger, it was potential, control, strategy, strength. She lunged again, knife aimed at Marcus's chest. He twisted, but she followed, catching his arm and twisting sharply, forcing him off balance. He stumbled, fury blazing in his eyes. Elias was beside her in an instant, his hands gripping Marcus's shoulders, forcing him down. Together, they pinned him against a metal crate. Marcus hissed, struggling, eyes full of hate and obsession. You think you win? She's mine. She was meant to be ours, not yours. Leela's breath came in ragged gasps. She's my mother's daughter, she spat, voice trembling with rage. And I decide what I do with my life. Elias' voice cut through, calm but deadly. Enough. He turned to Leela, gaze softening. You did this. You fought for yourself, for her, for all of it. Marcus's men hesitated, looking at their fallen leader. Confusion, fear. Something in Leela's defiance had shifted the tide. Marcus spat, fury blazing. This isn't over. She will never forgive you. Elias stepped forward, deadly calm. Neither will I if you touch her again. Leela's chest heaved. Her mother's courage, her own fear, and the fury of years of lies had forged her into something unstoppable. She looked down at Marcus, defiance burning in her eyes. You wanted me scared. You wanted me weak. You found neither. Marcus's face contorted, rage spilling into a scream. But Elias tightened his grip, and the moment ended. The docks were silent except for their heavy breathing. Leela's hands trembled, but she was alive, and for the first time she felt powerful. Elias finally let her go, stepping back. He studied her, pride and something deeper in his eyes. You surprised me, he said softly. Leela looked at him, exhausted but fierce. Not surprised, I'm just getting started. And in that moment, she understood the truth Marcus had feared most. She was no longer just a girl to be protected. She was her own weapon. The night hung heavy over the docks. Smoke from toppled crates curled like fingers in the air. Marcus Hale lay pinned by Elias' strength, but his eyes still burned with calculated menace. Leela's knife trembled in her hand, though her resolve no longer wavered. This was the moment her mother had prepared her for. Marcus, Elias said, voice low, eyes sharp. It ends now. Marcus laughed, cruel, bitter. You think this ends with me? You don't even know what she carried inside her, what you carry inside you, Leela. You're not just her daughter. You're the culmination of everything we've built, everything we've planned. Leela's pulse slammed in her ears. Planned. My mother, you killed her to get to me, and now you think you can control me. That's exactly it, Marcus hissed. She hid the secrets in you, the blueprint, the key, everything. And now I claim it. Elias' eyes narrowed, his jaw tight. You'll never touch her, never. The world seemed to hold its breath. Then Leela stepped forward, voice steady, fierce. No one touches me. No one, not you, not anyone. My mother fought for me. I will finish it for her. Something inside her clicked. Years of fear, uncertainty, and lies crystallized into raw power. Her DNA, the very thing Marcus coveted, wasn't a weapon he could wield. It was a legacy. She was alive and she was unstoppable. She lunged, not just with skill but with purpose. Every strike precise, every movement decisive. Marcus faltered, surprised, enraged, unprepared for the fire she wielded. Elias moved in tandem, a silent symphony of protection and trust. Together, they pushed Marcus to his knees, his empire of threats crumbling. Marcus's voice cracked, venom dripping. You can't, this isn't over. Leela's eyes blazed. "It is over today, it ends, for my mother, for me." She drove the knife into a metal crate beside him, a symbolic strike, and stepped back. Marcus groaned, defeated, powerless, stripped of control over the one thing he had tried to claim. Silence fell. Elias exhaled, finally allowing himself a breath he had been holding for years. He looked at Leela, fear, pride, and something softer, unspoken. "You survived. You fought for yourself." Leela's chest heaved. "No, we survived together." Elias' hand brushed hers, a quiet promise. Together. The night air carried the ghosts of lies and the echoes of a mother's love. Leela finally understood. Her life was hers, forged by courage, protected by devotion, and claimed by her own power. She turned to the horizon, the first hints of dawn touching the water. A new chapter awaited, a life she would define, no longer just a girl in danger, but a woman in command of her own fate. The story isn't over, but this chapter ends here. If you felt the thrill, the emotion, and the suspense of Leela's journey, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more stories like this. Your next adventure is waiting. Don't miss it.